Hey everyone, and welcome live from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. This is Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker. I am traveling for a speaking engagement today out at E-Tail East. Very excited to be here today, and so thought that we would try to do this live from the pool at the Westin. Sorry if there's background music. We'll try to avoid that as much as possible. Hey, before we start, I just want to let you know that this show is brought to you by my friends at Zoho Desk. Over 50,000 businesses around the world trust Zoho Desk to improve agent productivity, increase customer happiness, and build loyalty. You too can transform your customer service with the industry's first context-aware help desk. Go to zoho.com/desk and do me a favor, tell them the Experience Maker sent you. All right, I am so excited today to introduce a guest that has been a friend of mine for a long time, although we were out of touch for a while, recently reconnected, and I am sure glad we did. A Kellogg School of Management classmate of mine, Steve Pockross, is now the founder and CEO of Verblio. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thanks, Dan. Great to see you again.
I am psyched to talk to you today. Why don't we start by just having you introduce yourself and Verblio?
Great. I'm Steve Pockross. I'm the CEO of Verblio. We are a content creation marketplace company, which means we're a combination of two things: a marketplace of highly curated freelance writers that are segmented into 40 different verticals, and a SaaS platform for how do you get content creation done with quality at scale. We are about 50 people here in, well, we used to all be in Denver, or mostly in Denver, Colorado. Now we're about half remote. We have about 1,000 writers. We create about 120,000 to 150,000 pieces of unique content per year in 40 different verticals. And let's see, we've been around for about 12 years now, and we spend a lot of time thinking about the future of marketing and the future of work.
And we're going to definitely get into that in a couple of minutes. But how did you come up with this idea? Where did you see the need that you needed to fill with Verblio?
So Verbalio came from an interesting place, which is, so I was fortunate enough to be involved in one of the early management teams of a company called LiveOps, which was one of the pioneering marketplace SaaS companies based in Silicon Valley, with a bunch of the early Netscape guys that grew into a pretty successful 20,000 person home-based call center. And I had the fortunate job of being I was in charge of creating new business models on top of this combination of what do you do if you have a highly curated group of talented freelancers and you have access to SaaS technology that can deliver the work if you create the right incentive structures and deliver it in the right way. So I got to experiment with a lot of these things. And I talked to the founders of this company. I actually wasn't a founder. It was founded by a journalist and the classic technical co-founder back in 2010. And they came from a really interesting point of view. So I think most folks from our background in the business world, you look at where's the market need and when do you go for there, much more focused on the demand side. And they were really focused on the supply side, meaning that the founding CEO was a journalist. And he saw a lack of opportunities for all of his journalist friends as they were coming out, and less opportunity, but more and more in content marketing. And was trying to find a play of putting those things together. And that ethos of really thinking about the writers and the workers first and primary really comes through in the culture of the company. So we found that, and then he started looking for where's the right place to be. And SEO content at the time, the company was founded as, how do you start competing? All the larger companies were getting into SEO and finding it as one of the most successful marketing channels. And like all marketing channels, the big guys get in there first. They put a lot of funds in. So how can you help the smaller players compete? And so what the first product was a monthly subscription. It was every week you got a blog delivered at noon on Thursday. You didn't even get to review it. Didn't really matter that much what it said. It could say Joe's Plumber does the best plumbing in Denver for the best plumbers in Joe's Denver. And it would get you ranked. And as we all know, content marketing became more and more sophisticated over the years, and we had to keep up with that and advance the product and the service to get to the point where it is now, and creating massive amounts of long form content for pretty enterprise type of clients. I took over 6 years ago from the CEOs.
All right. So what you guys do is interesting, but how you guys do it is even more interesting. Let's start with how you find people to come work for you. And one of the things that I know you've really committed to is beginning that employee experience literally when they're applicants. Talk to us about that.
Cool. So there's the employee experience, and there's also the writer experience, which actually falls very much in place. So one of our core beliefs is the best way to find great people to work with is to create a talent magnet, is to create a place where they most want to be. And we've done that on both the writer side and the employee side, but the part that we've talked about the most has been on the employee side. And so one of our fundamental principles is, how do we compete? We're a bootstrap company. We don't have a ton of funding to go out and go make a giant splash. So what can we do to compete on the recruiting side as we would on the sales and marketing side? And so we think of the funnel pretty much like we think of the sales and marketing funnel, but how do we attract talent? And think of every step in the way, how do we create a great experience for the recruits, and how do we attract the great recruits?
You've shared with me some of your job descriptions, and I have to tell you, I read them and I wanted to come work for you. I mean, you write them in such a way where it's so clear that your company's fun, that it's got a personality, that it's different. How do people react to that when they see it?
I love it. It's been so successful as a strategy for us, and it's so easy to do if you want to put investment into it. There's nothing like competing in a really weak market, and I don't think many companies put that much into their job descriptions besides roles and responsibilities. So we've actually been experimenting this for a really long time, but we've really gotten into it in the last few years as the market has gotten hotter and hotter. So when you put out a job description, that basically the mandate from our company is I want to laugh at least 3 times when I'm looking through this, and I want to work there as well. So I'm really glad that appealed to you as well. The response from candidates as they come through is overwhelming me. Almost all of them say, I saw your job description, I immediately wanted to work there, I had to talk to you, and that's how I got on the phone. And you just don't hear that very often in the recruiting world.
No, you do not hear that very often. That's awesome. All right, I'm also going to put you on the spot here and share one of my favorite videos of you. I think you probably know which one I'm going to share. And this tells a little bit about what Verblio does, but man, it does it in quite a fascinating way. Hold on.
Hi, I'm Steve Pockross. I'm the CEO of Verblio. I'm not a doctor, but I do have Amazon Prime, which is where I got this lab coat. Do you suffer from PFWD? PFWD is post-freelance writer depression, and it's common in agencies that work with freelance content writers. Symptoms include anger, sadness, hopelessness, feeling like everything you read sounds exactly the same. Stop suffering and start making money on content creation. Verbalio can help. Think of Verbalio as Verbilify, Verbutrin, Verbloft. Just tack an uplifting suffix to our name and you get the picture. Start feeling better. Start getting the content you need for your clients from writers who know what they're doing. We have a network of 3,000 fantastic writers. Our writers are tested, vetted, and QA'd. I know what you're thinking. Is Verblio safe for agencies? Yes, we're actually specially formulated for agencies. Verblio is FDA approved.
Cheers, Verblio.
Don't talk to your doctor. Don't talk to your dog. Talk to me. It's not a prescription. It's a subscription. Patients all over the country have seen amazing results in things like forklift technology, CBD for dog anxiety, MDMA for human anxiety, and more. Side effects include more time to spend with your family and friends, better sleep, jazz hands. Do not combine Verblio with other content services, such as Craigslist or Upwork, as serious complications can occur. Don't stop using Verblio if you become pregnant with ideas. Just share them with our writers. And talk to your doctor if the smile on your face lasts more than 10 hours. Verblio, pharmaceutical grade content for every client in your book.
All right, after that, I really want to learn more about forklift technology. Can you tell me a little bit about it? That is incredible, man. And first of all, I love the acting chops. I didn't know that about you when we were in business school, but you definitely have the acting chops. But what I love about that is, look, what you do, other companies do, right? You're not the only person out there. You're not the only company out there creating content. And we talk about this all the time, that experience is how we can differentiate. And I think you do that in that ad so well. Tell me a little bit about what went into that.
So it's funny, I haven't watched that in quite some time, so I'll take a little flashback in time.
It's still funny.
Thanks. So we try to create a culture that's playful, that people want to come to. This goes back to the talent magnet content, which is like, I want to work at a company that I want to work at, and I want it to be fun here. And that really starts from the top, and it starts with permission and support to go out and be wacky and be fun. And I will tell you that our copywriter, we have a couple of us who tune in on the marketing team and team up to do these type of things, but they all push me to go farther than I think is socially acceptable. And if you think that went over the top at some places, I really had to curtail like 25% of it to get there. We really wanted to create a piece of content that stuck out and that was different, that people would remember and that we liked, that we would want to see. And so I think that's one of the big themes in experience making and also in marketing is make stuff that you want to listen to. And I think it's especially hard and easy in B2B because everyone thinks that B2B, you need to be more formal. And everyone forgets that you're talking to an end person at the end of the day who wants to work with people that they like as well. So you should actually have more permission to do so. Yeah, I don't know where the dog
so right there. I mean, you hit the nail on the head about B2Bs there. If B2Bs would stop thinking of themselves as being so different and then B2C and started thinking of themselves as actually being more similar, I think that you'd see better experiences there. I also love about this video that you are demonstrating what it is that you do. So you guys are so creative. It is content in and of itself. I try to do that too. I try to practice what I preach on stage, in my book, what have you, even in the launch of my book. Because I want people to see that, look, I believe in this. I do this too, right? So I think that's what's so cool about it is that you guys are taking what you do as a company and putting it into your own marketing. I think so often there are companies that have great SaaS platforms in their own companies not using their own SaaS platform, right? It doesn't make any sense. All right, so let's talk a little bit about humor because you mentioned it, and I thought the video was perfect. There was no point at which I was uncomfortable, and I was left smiling quite a bit. But you make a good point that, which is why when I speak about this kind of thing, I usually use the word witty instead of humor, because witty is about being clever, about using language in a cool way, and about refusing to be boring. But it's not necessarily about being fall off your chair hysterical, because unfortunately humor can go both ways. Some people get offended at something that somebody else finds funny. So how do you toe that line? And frankly, how many of your customers are even looking for humor?
Humor works when you can show that you're professional and you meet their need and you understanding what they need first and foremost. If you're just being funny, then they can find that elsewhere. So you have to demonstrate your professionalism and that you're on target for what they're looking for as well, which I hope we accomplished most of that in that video. The concept of being witty is really, it's challenging. The less people, the more people. So this company started, I was 10, 12 people, and we're up to 53 now. And so I used to have a deep personal relationship with everyone in the office, and we used to come into the office a couple of times a week. So if I missed something and I led with humor first, I can make up for it really quickly. That goes away the further up and the larger your company goes. And so we, I ask for apologies ahead of time. I feel like a lot of experience making is about expectation setting. I think you've talked a lot about this as well. This is what's going to happen to you. So if things go badly, like we say, the first 5 pieces of content you get from Verblio are going to be the least on target because you're training our writers to write for you. And then it keeps getting better after that. But if you don't say that first and you get a bad piece of writing, you're like, all Verblio writing might look like this. And so I actually we had an intro cohort that we do every 3 months when we have our class of new hires. And we introduce ourselves. This is the way of working with me. And we try to share that with the rest of the company. And one of the first things I always say is, I have a very dry sense of humor. I use it very often. I love to laugh at work. Sometimes it will strike the wrong way. I beg for your forgiveness ahead of time. If it really strikes you the wrong way, please reach out to me. I will apologize. But to me, I'd rather take the risk of having too much fun and apologize later than the other way around.
Oh, totally agree. And having fun at work is so important. And when we talk so much about employee experience, a lot of it is just having fun. And, we got to work. It's called work for a reason, but we spend so much time there, we might as well have some fun. Chris makes the comment.
You're saying this while sitting in a beach chair.
That's right. I'm having fun at my job. Absolutely. Chris, love on your podcast page. You capture people laughing, smiling in the thumbnail. Such a wonderful detail. Yes. Thank you, Chris. And actually, I was going to share another wonderful detail. Give me 1 second here. It's a little bit more complicated to be doing this on the fly instead of at the home studio. But here is the About page at Verblio. And this is where you can meet the team. And there's our friend Steve Pockross there. And as you hover over his name, you get a little bit of a bio. And what's cool is that in the bio, you have some additional hovers that kind of add some detail. And I also love, I believe you had, your favorite word. It's on the other page. There we go. So your favorite word is hootenanny. Your COO, Greg's favorite word is aardvark. We've got lots of great favorite words here. Arugula, shenanigans, bedraggled. I think that is a very underused word. But even in this page, you're creating engagement. People can, I would imagine people spend time on this page because they want to learn about people. They want to read what all these fun little pop-ups are about. Talk to me again about what went into this and how it works for you.
It's basically we have a kind of mandate in the company. Anything that looks boring, think about it being reframed as something that could be interesting. That could be anything from a customer service message to sorry, your first piece of content, or like, sorry, it's 2 days, or you haven't heard anything from your writer in 2 days. But there's a way to make every one of these interactions be more thoughtful and vulnerable. Like, so we just had a horrific United Airlines flight yesterday. And the pilot came on and everyone's about to get mad because the fuel's not going into the engine and we're sitting on the tarmac for an hour and a half. And he gets on, and this isn't an example of humor, but it's like it starts with being vulnerable. And he says, look, I know you guys all have places to be. I know this is like the worst, that we're totally screwing up your day here, but it's so like there's nothing more important for me than taking care of you. And I wouldn't fly this unless I was taking care of my family. And so I'm going to do the right thing. And I appreciate your patience, though I know it's miserable. So like the second that he opens up that vulnerability and understanding, there's no way to be upset. And nobody said anything on the whole plane. Humor feels to me a lot of that same way. So look for all of those personal and experience. Everything on your website, every interaction with any human at your company is a potential for an experience that could be different. So we think of that page the same way. Man, those pages can be boring. And they're usually everybody looking at a team photo. If you're in a Colorado photo, it has to be a picture of your team on a hike overlooking something and looking super sporty. And so we took the one before that was a picture of us making fun of that, of all falling off of rocks. There's just a point of everywhere to have a little more fun with everything. And it will attract the right people. If you're looking for very formal clients, maybe they won't go with you, but there's strategies all about figuring out what you don't want to do as much as what you do want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you touched on sort of the humanity part of it, which I think is so important. You're right that when you can show empathy, it's hard to be angry at somebody showing empathy. And, stuff happens. I do think that customers as a whole understand that. They get that human error happens, that technical or mechanical errors happen. And even though they might be frustrated, they get that, if the choice is, try to take off with the engine maybe not working or fix it, I'm going to vote for fix it as well. But I've been on planes before where we've sat on the tarmac for an hour with 0 updates. Mm-hmm. And all that does is make people simmer because they know something's going on, but nobody's talking to them. I just wrote a blog post last week. If you go to my website at dangingiss.com and hit on blog about communication and how the difference between over communication, under communication, and no communication. And it can affect the experience incredibly. And I always vote for over communication. I would much rather somebody give me 5-minute updates on what's going on, which might be over communicating, but at least I feel knowledgeable, versus wondering what the heck is going on or even if anybody's paying attention. So I love that example on United. I actually had a flight on American the other day, and they aggravated me by delaying my flight 6 hours, about an hour and a half before it was supposed to take off. So I was about to head to the airport. They said flight was delayed 6 hours. I quickly went and found a different flight. It wasn't direct. It was a stopover, but I still got there 3 hours earlier than if I had waited for their other flight. And I was really kind of ticked off. And then on my return flight, they upgraded me. And so then I loved them again. It's like, I wonder whether someone was thinking about that or that was just coincidental. But man, it got me to not be upset anymore. So it's pretty interesting how that can happen. So what kinds of content are people asking for right now? What's hot? Is it video content? Is it blog content? Is it all of the above? Is it recycling and reusing content into lots of different places? What are you seeing in terms of content trends?
Got it. So there's the classics and there's the new. The new and the trendy is rarely keeps up with the classics. So we do a survey of our top digital marketers every year that has hundreds of kind of like our clients that all participate. And we always ask for what's the most effective part for content for SEO. Most of our clients are using it for SEO driven content, although there's a lot of other reasons to drive content. And there's a few new trends in there that I'll talk about. But blogs is always still the most effective out there. The difference in blogs is that they're getting longer and more intense. So they have to, our average content length when I came on board, less than 4% of the posts were above 1,000 words per post. Now it's 72%. So there is a massive drive towards content and going deeper and communicating with your client. I read it. I don't know if you read this too, but there's an interesting fact about how much of those actually get read. And it's still like a small fraction of that content actually gets read. Maybe an audience member goes 10 to 15% into it. But the longer the content, the more authoritative it seems. And so more people click on it and want to read it. So you need to do that to compete. And so blogs are still the most effective as far as getting out SEO content, according to our clients, but they're becoming more competitive. And that is more research, longer form, and there's also more enhancement to it, like video and design. They just have to be more. They have to be more consumable and more interesting to draw attention, even if you're nailing it with all the content stuff. I see a lot less focus on like killing it with the right keywords and all of the technical SEO stuff. I'm sure it's still deep and important, but there seems to be a lot more focus on great writing and writing something that would appeal. On the other bigger trends that are kind of new, probably the most important is content refreshes of recycling your top material from before, especially people who have been doing SEO content for a really long period of time. I talked to a client the other day who does 35,000 pieces of unique content every month, and they've been doing this for years. And so they're trying to figure out how to get the most juice out of this, what they consider an annuity of an asset for the company. And so refreshing that with at least 30% new language, updating the keywords, updating the experience and the design. These larger projects is one of the biggest trends. The second biggest trend is thinking really as content less as this is a must do, kind of like on the required list, as more of a cost expense line, and much more of a how do we completely give ourselves a competitive advantage by creating tens of thousands of pieces of content in a short period of time to overwhelm our competition. And so it's being seen much more in line with old paid digital marketing of you have to create it in order to take out your to really compete at a higher level than before than I think previous versions of SEO that were really focused on how do I make sure I at least get my blog out every week because I have to do it.
Okay, so you just scared everybody that was watching into now thinking that they need thousands of pieces of content. I'm certainly scared. I'm one of those one blog a week guys. So is this really, I mean, is it about, I like that comment about overwhelming the competition. That's certainly one way to do it. But do we really need that much content?
Sorry, that's for much bigger companies. I think you're still doing it the right way. Write the amount quality where you can still deliver quality on a consistent basis. I think the bigger companies and bigger agencies are looking at these kind of content as a much more of an acquisition channel than ever before. So no, you don't need to be doing this, and most small businesses don't need to be doing this. But there will always be a trend towards more and deeper.
And so how much are you guys connected with what's going on with the Google algorithms and what's hot? And I mean, what you just described, it would seem to me that Google might eventually figure out like, oh, well, these guys are putting out so much content that it can't all be good, or, there must be like a backlash to that from the algorithm. But how much do you guys have to study all the changes that are going on, which of course are constant, you can barely catch up with them, but how much does that go into the content that you're creating?
Well, luckily we get to work with a lot of great content strategists and marketing strategists who are coming up with the strategies that they bring to us to help implement, and bring to life with the amount of content. And I won't say it is not the vast majority that are doing that much. It's just when we were talking about new trends that we're seeing, this is a new trend that we're seeing. It doesn't mean that, we serve over 1,000 clients every single month. This is a few of them. So don't see this as the overwhelming kind of tidal wave coming. The quality piece of it, even those clients that are doing lots of content at scale have a high fixation on quality and make sure they're delivering a specific purpose for every piece of content. And so that continues to be true. If it was just about mediocre content, everyone could go with AI, which can generate crappy content at no time at all. But Google isn't following them. Google is not giving a lot of credit to it. They continue to focus on voice and authority and having a strong opinion. And this is the way that I think that people continue to beat the machine as far as good writing is concerned. We follow the Google algorithms when they come out. Nobody has deep insight into it, or we would all share that and sell that secret massively. But every single time Google's looking for better quality content. And so if you keep focused on that, then we think we're following the right North Star.
Yeah, if you could also share the secret to creating viral videos, that would be awesome. We'd really appreciate that. All right, we're running out of time. I wanted to ask whether it is a client of yours or not. What brands out there do you enjoy their content that you think are doing a really killer job on content?
It's interesting. I love drift stuff. I had David Cancel on my podcast, and they've done a good job of both being thoughtful and on target, but wow, they really put out some great leadership stuff, and they kind of transcend the brand as far as being directional and really focus on connecting with customers a lot more than what the product actually does. And I really love, they have his David's higher level thought leadership pieces. I find him really inspiring. I love Wistia's ability to go in between those two. And I think the thing that both of them have in common, Chris Savage was also on my show. I try to invite as many inspiring brands onto my show as I can, because I want to learn from them too. They both are really thoughtful. They know what their customers are looking for, but at the same time, they really want to set themselves apart and do something different. And I think those are pretty hard things to do. Wisty has a great story about how they were in a super competitive, commoditized space, and they created a funny video, and it totally set the company on the path. That's what made them stand out. One funny viral video is what helped them compete in a super boring video hosting space.
That's awesome. All right, you've mentioned your show a couple times. Tell people the name of it and how to listen to it, because it is a fantastic show.
Thanks. And you've been on it, and a fantastic guest. The show is called Yes and Marketing. It is how do I say this? It's a liberal arts approach to marketing for the only field where if you follow best practices, you lose. So you might as well get inspiration from anywhere. So we bring on any inspiring voices that can help you find that.
Outstanding. Yes and marketing. You got to have that pause in there. Fantastic. Steve, it has been a true pleasure. I hope we can get together in person sometime soon. I'll let you know if I'm going to be out in the Colorado area, but really great to reconnect. It's been unbelievably 20 years since we got out of business school. We cannot possibly be that old, but it is true. And glad to reconnect. Glad to see your success at Verblio. I put it up a couple times, but let me throw it up there one more time. If you want to check out Verblio, it's verblio.com. That's verblio.com. Steve, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Great to see you.
Thanks, Dan. Great to see you. Thanks for having me. Have a great time on the beach.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is only the second time I realized in 108 episodes, I think, that I have done this show live remotely. And the first one was like episode 7. So it's been quite some time. Just want to remind people that we are sponsored by Zoho Desk. Please go to zoho.com/desk. Tell them the Experience Maker sent you, and they are there for you for all of your customer service agent productivity needs. Manage your customer conversations across multiple channels: email, chat, phone, social media, website. Respond and perform follow-up activities without breaking a sweat. That is my friends at Zoho Desk. Thank you so much. And next week, we're going to be at a special date. It's going to be Monday instead of Thursday, because I'm going to be traveling again next week and cannot do it remotely. Going to be out of the country. Grant Baldwin is going to be with us. He is the CEO of a great speakers organization, author of a couple of books, and we're going to talk about event experience. Should be really, really fun and interesting. If you have a suggestion for a guest on the show, please email me, dan@dangingiss.com, or hit me up on Twitter @DanGingiss. Always happy to find new great people to come on to the show. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on Monday, not Thursday, Monday, on the next Experience Maker Live show.